It's one thing to have a thought. It's another thing to make the thought work. Hey, and welcome to the Movie Dojo, where I'm going to go over some awesome movies you may have missed. And today, I'm going to discuss a hidden gem I found called The Five Element Ninjas from 1982. It is about two Chinese clans who are fighting for power in the martial arts world. The enemy clan enlists the help of the samurai who eventually take over their place. The heroes have to go on through a revenge game that shows on screen as fast-paced action movie classic. It's one of the best martial arts movies in my memory, with some laughable dubs, awkward moments, but best of all, there's some absolutely insane fight scenes that will make you feel extremely satisfied. So we'll hang out and I'll give the rundown on the Five Element Ninjas. The movie starts off with two Chinese clans. We'll call them Kang's clan and the Yuan Zhang clan, who meet up for a 10-round martial arts competition. The loser has to agree to be banished from the land, and the winner leads the martial arts world. They use a variety of weapons. Some of these guys have spears, circular saws that they hold in their hands, swords, katanas, staffs, and all kinds of other stuff. Zhang's clan wins most of the matches until the end when Kang pulls his secret weapon. It's a Japanese ninja who he uses to represent himself in battle. Sandu the samurai is his name, and he faces Zhang's fighter who is not fazed by the challenge, which he inevitably loses. And for some reason, the loss to the samurai makes him feel pressure to kill himself after the samurai informs him that losing for a samurai means losing his life. He ends up killing himself by slicing his neck with an axe, and it catches his team off guard because to Chinese fighters, losing is not the end of the world. Two of the fighters jump at Sandu but are held back, and Zi Sheng agrees to fight him barehanded. Unfazed by the sword wielded by Sandu, Zi Sheng has a confident strength to his style, which he uses to defeat the samurai and even disarms him from his katana. After defeating him, one of Zhang's fighters challenges Sandu the samurai with his own statement by telling him loss of a fight means loss of a life. Sandu changes in preparation for his ritual suicide, but gives Kang a note. He says to give it to his ninja friend Chen Yen, and he would come. He goes on to commit his ritual suicide, which I think is called seppuku or harakiri. In Sandu's final moment, he tells Zhang his ring is a memento from his ninja friend and throws it his direction. He says when he sees the ring again, it would mean his death. Zhang catches it, and we later discover the ring was poisoned. Now I move back to the Zhang clan home, where they start discussing a challenge note they got with a ring from the Five Elements. The ring is the same one Sandu threw at Zhang. Zhang describes the feeling he got from the ring after realizing it poisoned him. He lets them know he cannot use Kung Fu for 3 months, and they all agree the situation is strange. The Five Elements are gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, and where they should meet to accept the challenge. Zhang determines the best fighters who are appropriate to meet for the challenge, but decides on 2 that stay at the base with him in case the plan is to raid them. After saying their goodbyes, we focus on the 2 fighters left to help guard the base. They question whether their buddies are good enough to take on these ninjas. They let Zhang know the situation and he goes on to lock himself in a secure room, and then it looks like he's just going to meditate in there. Now we move on to the fighters who find the first ninja group. It's the Metal Ninjas, who are dressed in gold with golden Raiden looking hats. The fight starts and the ninjas first move is spinning their hats, which are so shiny it blinds the fighters, deflecting the sun into their faces. The hats also have blades that pop out and shoot toward the good guy's direction, but they don't go down easy. The last guy takes about 5 darts and 4 swords before he's finished off. Next we move on to the wood ninja, who are dressed in brown, and they are hiding behind or in some trees. One of the ninjas, hidden in a tree, tosses a few ninja stars at the direction of one of our fighters, grazing him across the chest. He doesn't realize it until his partner tells him, but while doing so, that guy walks back into a tree that finishes him with 2 stabs to the chest. The ninja flies into the air and back down to greet our fighter, who's using 2 knives against the ninja's claw weapons. It's a decent back and forth until some more ninjas show up. It becomes 4 against 1 at this point, and it's just too much to handle. He gets a claw through his chest and he's finished. The next scene, we meet the water ninjas in their pond. Our fighters walk over a bridge and they're flanked on both sides by the ninjas swimming with floaties. Our good guys throw some darts their way, popping the floaties, and the ninjas head underwater where they use some bamboo sticks to breathe underwater. They get close enough to the good guys and use a ball on a string to wrap up the fighters' feet, keeping them in place. 2 of the ninjas hop out of the water and strike from above with some type of trident spear that they use to pull them into the water, and where they're finished with a stab to their chest. And now we head off to the fire ninja realm, where we got 4 red ninjas meeting 1 single hero fighter. The odds are not in favor of our fighter in any of these battles, but he holds his own using his sword. As our guy just hits his stride, one of the ninjas fires a bamboo smoke rocket towards him. He ends up sticking one ninja in the stomach, and we see it's a female because they close up on her fishnet outfit and bare chest. At this time, the ninjas retreat, and we see the ninja in charge appear in the smoke. His name is Chen and wants to know our fighter's name, who refuses to give it, pulls a sword from his side, and collapses from the wounds he got in the fight. Now we show the earth ninjas, who appear from beneath the ground and use spears to shoot up at our fighters. He is stabbed a few times from below and is, like the others, fighting outmanned. He fights well, but eventually has to fight the leader, who also jumps out of the earth to meet him. He fights him barehanded until he is able to grab his weapon, but shortly after he gets it, his leg, which was stabbed a few times, fails on him, causing him to fall. That's when Chen finishes him off. The dead are all sent to the base where the fighters left over mourn their fallen. Now we are in Kang's lair, where Chen lets them know the enemy was taken care of. Chen wants to take over and brings his silent ninjas to the party. The female ninja, Senshi, also makes her appearance. The scene goes on to Senshi, who is dressed like normal in the village and is getting slapped around by some other guy. 2 of the heroes at the base protect her and decide it's a good idea to keep her at their base after a sob story about being forced into prostitution by her uncle. Senshi immediately begins to show her corruption. She hides some weapons, which really pissed off one of the heroes. He calls her out on it as a spy, and she runs off fake crying. And next she tries to poison the soup made for Zhang, but luckily that same hero is on top of it, and he goes to grab the bowl from her but drops it. Then we see her draw a map of the base and shoot it with a little bow and arrow over the village wall. One of the ninjas grabs the message and it's taken back to Chen, who decided to immediately raid the base. Now Senshi tries to seduce Zisheng in his room, and she offers to play the flute for him to drown out the ability to hear anything else. The ninjas invade the base at this time. They are able to silently make their way to surprise the guards. They start fighting and quickly are killed off by the ninjas. The ninjas make their way inside the base and are able to get in. The ninja fight from ropes, and Senshi ends up using the flute to shoot a dart at Zisheng. He's surprised to see she's a ninja too. She ends up killing him with a sword that she hid in a vase. She gives a creepy evil laugh and jogs out to meet Chen. Now we have Zhao fighting a load of ninjas on his own. Zisheng runs out to meet him to let him know what happened and that he's dying. Zhao lets him know he's very happy to avenge his death while he's still alive. Zhao starts fighting the ninja leader but gets wrapped up in chains and bound up. The ninjas use giant staples to block Zhang from getting out of his room, and they use rockets to blast at the door, lighting it on fire and sending smoke inside that eventually kills him. Zisheng has an amazing final battle, finishing off a bunch of ninjas, but is eventually impaled to the door he tried to open by Chen. It was a valiant final effort. Zhao is now bound in another room. He remembers his training with a guy named Yang Tanfei, who taught him how to get out of ropes with a method called the pedal method. He gets loose and he eventually meets up Senshi, who he surprises with a knife to her neck as she starts to seduce him. Zhao takes her hostage to leave the lair without getting killed and jumps over the wall to escape. Now we return to Kang's base, where Chen lets him in on his intention to take over as leader of the martial art world and relieve him of his duties. His ninjas kill off Kang's men, and Chen sends one of his poison rings through the forehead of Kang. Zhao returns to his old ninja martial arts instructor, Yang Tanfei, to learn some techniques to send these ninjas away for good. He meets a few more friends to get through the final battles. Everybody else from his group has been killed off to this point. After training Zhao, Zhao returns to Chen's base with a challenge note of his own. Chen sends Senshi to follow him and sends four ninjas behind her. Senshi meets Zhao in the forest next to a river. She begins to try her seduction tactics again, but Zhao notices the ninjas behind her and sees through the act. He kills her with his own sword by slicing it into, or with her own sword by slicing it into her side, and avenges Zisheng's death and finishes off the 4 other ninjas with ease. Now Zhao meets up with his 3 other buddies, and they have new outfits and weapons. They have fishnets over their white clothing, and they are armed with these gigantic silver axes. This whole finishing sequence of the movie is fantastic. The fights are impressive, but even more so, I felt like a lot of these were Mortal Kombat style fatalities by how unique the finishes. They finished off some of these guys. They face off with 4 gold medal ninjas. Zhao fights 4 of them on his own, but eventually the others get involved. After meeting their match, during a lull in the action, the ninjas try their spinning gold hat tactic, but a flash of a blindfold appears to remind us that they trained to fight without eyesight. They impressively take care of the metal ninjas, and the cool Mortal Kombat moment of this fight is when Zhao impales one ninja on a mountain over the metal symbol. Next up is the wood ninjas, and our heroes pull apart their axe, which is able to transform into different weapons. They pull off the blade on the backside of the top and connect it to a chain. They give each other a smile and a nod, then start walking around into the forest. Zhao is suspicious of a tree and baits it into attack, while one of the friends wraps the blade chain over his arm that he pulls it off with. Zhao finishes the guy with the blade, and they move on to get the others to come out. These chain weapons are nuts. The final ninja is killed off with another fatality move. All four heroes latch the chain blades around the ninja's limbs and pull together, severing the limbs from the guy's body. The guy gives up. The guys give each other a smile, and we are off to the next battle. They walk over to the pond to meet the other water ninjas who are underwater at this point. They wrap rope around the hero's spears, which somehow have multiple blades that come out from the tip, and they jump out of the water to attack. At this point, we see there is a purpose for them wearing the fishnets. They remove them to create a gigantic net to catch the water ninjas in. They finish them off with a stab to the chest, and we get another happy wink and a nod of approval. The fire ninjas appear next and jump toward the heroes. It's a one-on-one fight for the beginning of it until they bring the red smoke and surround the heroes. At this point, the heroes' spears reveal a black flag they use to fan the smoke and distract the fire ninjas. Zhao finishes off the last fire ninja with a flaming spear throw, and they move on. It's the final set with the earth ninjas, and Chen awaits the heroes armed with his own spear. He's preparing the earth ninjas, and they hide underground. Our heroes appear, and their spear is now able to transform into two bladed stilts. While they are attacked from below, they step up onto them and start stabbing under the ground. The ninjas appear and start jumping around to the point that the last one is impaled on 4 spears. Chen appears to challenge the 4 warriors. Chen handles his own for most of the fight, but is overwhelmed after they all attack together. Chen disappears underground, and they try the stilt stab technique but have no luck. He appears and uses some shackles to lock Zhao's feet to his stilts. Chen begins fighting with daggers and claws stuck to his feet, while Zhao remembers he can get loose with a key he was given earlier by Yan Tanfei. The fight goes on until Zhao tries using the shackles to hold Chen's feet. The ending sequence involves Zhao running toward Chen, having a flashback of all the people that died. Chen tries a jumping kick to aim the claws onto Zhao's chest, and Zhao sacrifices himself to stick onto Chen long enough to keep to get the shackles on his feet. The other heroes move in to help and stab Chen into place on the ground before he moves his whole body underneath. While in place, Zhao uses his last bit of energy to rip apart Chen's lower body from the top half. They all group up, and they have a brief dialogue before Zhao dies, and the 3 warriors break apart the rock with the earth symbol. That's 5 Element Ninjas from 1982, and I would definitely give this movie a shot if you want a good action movie. And I love the pacing of the movie. It moves very quickly. As far as these old school kung fu movies go, it is 2 thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Hope you subscribe, and we'll get more of these going.